All across the country on Saturday, thousands of demonstrators took to the streets demanding that lawmakers take action on gun violence. There are more than 450 March for Our Lives protests. Just check out some of the kids with their signs like this one that reads, "Arms are for hugging," a sign she says she made 4 years ago that she's still carrying around. Speaking of which, there were at least 12 more mass shootings in the U.S. over the weekend, and at least 12 people died. But we have some good news. Maybe it's not to you, but we want to hear from you. A group of bipartisan senators reached a deal on some narrow gun reform legislation that they say can pass in a very polarized Senate. It includes enhanced background checks for people under 21, funding for any states to encourage them to pass red flag laws, increased mental health resources, and increased school safety measures. So I want to go to you guys and find out, and we sort of call it the Goldilocks. Do you think this legislation goes too far? Does it go not far enough? Or is it just right? Erica?
I think that this is going to be an interesting social experiment in real time, because if all of this legislation passes and there isn't at least a drop in mass shootings and shootings in general, then some people are going to say, see, we did something and nothing changed. And other people are going to say not enough was done. And I think the idea is that having this to have something to come together in a bipartisan way is important, but it's literally barely a first step.
It's like the microest of micro steps.
Right.
I know that's not a word. Jeff, I'm just going around the horn, as I like to say. Good enough, not enough?
I agree with Erica. I think that's going to be the reality of it. But to me personally, something's better than nothing. I was asking for an orange road cone the other day, right? So this is something. I think a lot of people are scared for government overreach because once they give up that right or whatever that is, odds are you're not getting that back. So I think you have to start with baby steps, and that's what this is. It's baby steps, but baby steps are better than no steps.
Right, and I hope those baby steps show the people, the representatives of those districts that, like, hey, even if we are a pro-gun state, a pro-gun district, if I do present this legislation and I pass it, do you promise not to vote me out? I think if we see some Republican senators not get voted out for passing a few gun measures, that will encourage more to say, I would like, because I was looking at the
conversation has changed.
Right, the funding for mental health, should these states decide to enact these laws, well, what would a senator care about the funding if they get voted out? But if they don't get voted out and they can say, hey, and I brought some money in our state, you're incentivizing them to do more with the next round of bills. So I'm excited about this. I don't think it goes near far enough, but usually the first thing doesn't. That's okay too.
True.
It's interesting, though, because we're talking about people being voted out and not, you said baby steps earlier, and that's what will be sacrificed. Like, we are still sacrificing our children to see if this is enough to work. We're still sacrificing each other to see if this is enough to work. So just remember, for every step that's taken and it's prolonged, that's costing lives.
Wow, that made my jaw drop, what you just said. I want to give you guys some context. March for Our Lives says this time is different. If it prevents just one school shooting or stops one person from dying by everyday gun violence, it's a step in the right direction. But Gun Owners of America said it is our God-given right to defend ourselves from any act of violence, and gun control policies are not the solution. We will not compromise our rights. Matthew McConaughey, finally, because he's now in this conversation, said for the first time in 30 years, something has happened. That was my big thing, is it's a log jam. We've had 30 years of nothing. This broke the log jam. I'm just happy they met.
I don't know. I think things are better. I don't know what happened. I just don't want to put out the thing that we've crossed the goal line and spiked the football.
But Lindsey Graham sat down for a gun control meeting. That is huge.
But is that just PR? Are they just waiting? I don't trust them. I don't. I wish I did.
You don't have any reason to trust. Yeah. I mean, trust is earned. We've earned, nothing has shown any reason to earn any trust. But I really think it's so interesting when it's like, we have a God-given right.
Isn't that weird?
I was going to comment on that too.
And I'm just going to be very, very clear, because I know that people feel like if you are in support of responsible gun reform, then you are anti-gun. I get what is being said at the root of it. I mean, I was at home in my shower when someone with a weapon came and tried to violate me and my home, okay? That was the catalyst to me getting trained, getting a weapon, but also understanding the differences in weapons. And the weapons that we're talking about, I would not be able to fire that in my home. You want to know why? Because I could have gotten that guy and my neighbor like across the yard as well.
Because you don't live on a
when we're
battlefield,
talking,
Erica.
exactly.
Right.
So when we're talking about responsible or sensible gun reform, just keep in mind that everybody is not on either side of this issue. This issue, I know, is very personal to a lot of people. I can understand why it would be personal to a lot of people, but I think that we need to come together to make it make sense.
Yeah, God-given right stood out to me only because
Listen,
church
I'm
and
for,
state here.
I'm religious, right? I'm for God, and I'm for having sensible gun laws. But the rhetoric that we read, and you're not even creative at this point. You're saying it's my God-given right to have me bear arms, and you're just repeating what you saw on your favorite channel or your favorite stupid thing on your phone, who you follow. How about you step outside your box a little bit? No one's saying take away your guns. How many times do we have to say that?
I know.
And you keep
It's
saying the
super
same
annoying.
thing.
It's
and
super annoying.
you keep coming at me with the same dumb argument.
Right.
I understand that. We all
And we go in
understand
circles.
that.
We
I'm
just
for
go in
God.
circles.
Yes. I'm for bearing arms. Yes. I'm saying everything you're saying. You're just not stepping away from your
You're not
comfort
listening.
zone.
Well, the
You're
way
not
to
listening.
shut down
It's
an
just-
You're not
argument,
listening.
guys, is to use hyperbole. So, I say, hey, I want to get some sushi tonight for dinner. And Tori says, you know what, I want pizza. And I go, well, I guess we just won't eat that. Well, now we're not talking about what we can buy in different food options or maybe splitting up now we're talking about if we should starve to death, which is ridiculous and we know we're not going to do it, but it's taking us off the path.
Totally.
And that's where I wonder if this God-given right stuff, because we keep saying, and I almost said it again, when no one's going to take your
it's a
guns.
distraction.
It's impossible.
Right.
How would you even do that?
Right.
So at this point, it's just like it feels deflective. It feels
That's fair.
weird.
It feels like a strategy in a way.